It is peanut butter jelly time today in the sartorial kitchen. To kick things off, we're making our own peanut butter from scratch with some nuts that I toasted in the toaster oven and a drizzle of honey. Next, I'm making homemade peanut butter waffles that I'm slathering in more of that homemade peanut butter and drizzling with some fresh strawberry jam out of the garden. Then, it's a classic chicken satay with grilled marinated chicken. And last but not least, cocktail time. It's a fluffernutter drink with peanut butter whiskey. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me? Hi everybody. Glad you are joining me today because we have a fun one. It is peanut butter. I'm making my own peanut butter. And then we're doing some fun dishes. But first, I'm starting with my chicken. I'm doing a satay later. And I want to get my chicken marinating. The longer it marinades, the more flavorful it's going to be. So I've got just a small package here of tenders. And that's going to go into my Ziploc bag here. I'm just going to kind of slide those right in with the rest of those. And then we're going to give my hand a rinse here. Always wash our hands when we're working with raw meat, especially pork and chicken. Beautiful. Got some limes here. We're going to roll our limes to release the juices. Now I want some zest first, so I'm going to zest these. And make sure you only go that you zest lightly. You don't want to get any of the pith. You just want that zest from on top. And these limes are kind of small, so I'm going to go ahead and do both of them because I really want my marinade to be nice and flavorful. Alright, oh, that's smelling great. I love the smell of fresh citrus, guys. And then for our last lime here. To this, I also need some olive oil. I like to use good olive oil. About a fourth a cup. We got about a fourth a cup of lime juice, so we want about equal parts oil. I think that's going to be pretty good. The oil, it's going to help keep the chicken moist, and it's going to help keep the chicken from sticking. And then we just need a little salt and pepper. About a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper. Beautiful. And then we're going to seal this baby up. And then I'm just going to come in here with my hands and massage this, work everything around, because we want all of these pieces of chicken to taste the same. So we got to get that marinade going. Beautiful. Now this is going to set up in my fridge for a few hours, and then we're going to start on our peanut butter, the fun part, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so I've got my chicken marinating. Now let's move on to the star of the show, peanut butter. Now I could have opened a jar of peanut butter and been done with it, but where's the fun in that? So I thought, you know what, let's get some nuts and make our own peanut butter. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now before we can butter our peanuts, we need to roast them first. Roasting them, it's going to give them a whole nother depth of flavor. Now these are some salted nuts here that I got. I thought the salted would give it a little extra flavor. And it absolutely does. And then roasting them is just going to enhance that nuttiness. And I'm just laying them on a little sheet pan here. This is going to go into my toaster oven for about 4 to 5 minutes on a medium heat, just till they get nice and dark. Not too dark, but just dark enough. Alright guys, I have got my food processor out. We're going to need that, and we're also going to need a little honey. That is what is going to help the nuts break down into a fine paste. And I think our nuts should be just about done. And they are. Let's just grab our mitt here. Mmm. They smell amazing, guys. Nice and toasted. Look at that nice caramel color they've gotten. Beautiful. And why I chose peanut butter, because I feel like it's kind of one note. It's used in desserts, it's used as a snack, but there are so many things you can do with it, and that is why I put my menu together today as I have. I'm just going to pop the lid off of this baby and dump these guys right in. Careful, they're a little hot. Alright, there are my nuts, and we are ready to toast this guy up. Alright, now I'm going to throw my lid on here. This is basically 2 ingredients, making your peanut butter super simple. It's nuts and it's honey. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulsing this. And then I'm going to slowly drizzle in my honey until I get the consistency I'm looking for. Alright guys, I think we're pretty good. I'm just gonna, yes. This is exactly what we want. So it's like spreadable now, but it's got a little bit of texture to it still. I'm just gonna give it a little taste here. Honey gives it a little sweetness. The saltiness plays nicely, and then you get the depthness of flavor from having roasted it. So good. These are going to go great for our 2 dishes. Alright guys, waffle time. I'm setting up my batter. So we've already got our peanut butter here, and it is delicious, let me tell you. So this is just a basic waffle batter, but I'm jazzing it up with some peanut butter. Then I've got some jelly out of the garden that we are going to cook down, and that's going to be our syrup. So it's going to be like a pb&j sandwich for breakfast. Now to start, I need a cup of flour, and I've got my sift here because you know I'm all about sifting my ingredients. It helps incorporate everything, and it prevents lumps, especially when I'm working with flour. Okay, just a little more. And I just level it off so I make sure I have an even measurement. That goes right into the sift. I also need some baking powder. That's going to make our waffles nice and fluffy. I need a tablespoon of that. Sounds like a lot, but you really need it. Okay, that goes in there. Then we need about a teaspoon of salt. You can kind of eyeball that. And we sift nice and fluffy. And you see those little bits there? That's exactly why we do this, because we don't want those bits in our waffles. Perfect. Now time for the wet ingredients. Alright, now for the wet, we need 1 egg. I'm cracking that carefully so I can make sure we don't get any eggshells in our batter. To that, I need a little vanilla here. About a teaspoon of vanilla, which is about half of this cap full. We also need some sugar, 2 tablespoons. Just a little sweetness. We don't want to take away from the peanut butter. And speaking of peanut butter, I need a 1/2 cup. So I'm just going to come in here. And this is still kind of loose since we just made it, so I can kind of measure it out a little evenly. And that's going to be about a 1/2 cup. And that's going to go right into our batter. And then I also need some milk, about a cup of milk. And you just want to kind of watch the consistency. You may need a couple teaspoons more of milk. You don't want too much liquid in the batter. You just want enough that it's nice and moist and cooks evenly. Okay. And last but not least, butter. You can't have waffles without butter. I need 4 tablespoons. That's just about a half a stick. Room temperature butter, so it incorporates evenly with the batter. And we are ready to mix. Guys, batter looks pretty good. You can see the chunks of peanut butter in there. It's going to give us some nice texture and a nice depth of flavor. So I've got my waffle maker here, and it is nice and piping hot. I've got some cooking spray here. I'm just going to spray this down. This is going to keep everything from sticking. Nice generous coating of that. And then I've got my little half cup here. I don't want too big of a serving, otherwise our batter is going to ooze everywhere and that's not going to be any good. Maybe just a little more. And this is a fancy waffle iron. It's like the ones they have at the those bed and breakfast places. You just close the lid and turn it over. And they cook for a couple minutes. While that goes, I'm going to get started on our syrup. So I've got some strawberry jam here. This is strawberries from out of the garden. We don't need a lot. I'm just going to do a couple dollops here. It's about 2 to 3 tablespoons. And then what's going to happen is when this heats up, it's going to melt, it's going to ooze down, and it's going to become sort of syrup-like, and then it's going to be like pb&j. And then to freshen this up, I've just got a couple dashes of some fresh lime there. And then I'm just going to give that a little stir. This is on a low heat. I don't want it to burn. I'm just going to kind of let it mellow out and do its own thing while I focus on my waffles. And this first one should be just about ready to come out. Oh, yum, guys. I wish you could smell this. It smells amazing. And then I've got my little plate here. Alright, one down, several more to go. Alright guys, last but not least, I have some for my breakfast for the week, and I have one for me to taste. Let's pull this guy out here. I've got my little plate. Yum, 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 yum. We're done with this guy here, so I'm going to turn that off. We'll unplug it. Now you could just eat them like this, but I'm going to jazz them up a little bit. So I've got some of that peanut butter that we made earlier. And I'm just going to take some of that, and I'm just going to slather it right onto my waffles, almost like butter, but instead of butter we're doing peanut butter. This is going to add some more texture and some more richness. And then I've got our jelly. Take a look at that. It has melted down nice and syrupy. I'm just going to take my spoon and I'm going to drizzle some right over top. That's going to be in place of our syrup. And then if you wanted to, you could garnish this with some fresh nuts or some fresh fruit, whatever you like. But I think this is going to be pretty good. And there we have it, my pb&j waffles. Come in here and get a good taste with everything on it. Oh, guys. The waffles are nice and fluffy. You get a little bit of that texture of the peanut butter in there, and then you have the peanut butter on top, which is nice because it's whole still and it just kind of melts a little bit onto the hot waffle. That strawberry jam, just enough sweetness without being too sweet to cut through the richness of the peanut butter. So amazing. Okay, I cannot wait to move on to our next dish. It is a chicken satay. And I'm making a peanut sauce with our homemade peanut butter. Stay tuned. Alright guys, waffles were amazing. Now it's time for the main course, our chicken satay. So chicken satay is basically just chicken with a peanut sauce. It's usually served as like an appetizer. You have like your sauce and your chicken, you kind of dip it in there. And I love food that you can dip, it's so much fun. So that is my oil, just a little oil on the pan to keep the chicken from sticking. And this chicken looks amazing. I've got our lime marinade. That's just going to give our chicken some freshness. And then while our chicken cooks, we'll do our sauce. I've got all my ingredients. It's one of those, what I like to call everything but the chicken, but the kitchen sink kind of sauce, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. But it's all worth it. Okay, now I'm just going to dump my chicken out here. Okay, while the chicken goes, we're going to move on to my sauce. So I've got my saucepan here. I just want that on a really low heat. I don't want it to burn. So several different things here, 8 ingredients total. We're going to start with some ketchup. I need about 1/4 cup. We're just going to kind of eyeball this. And I've got some other fun things here. I've got some red wine vinegar. I need about 1 tablespoon of the red wine vinegar. Got some soy sauce here. This is going to give us a little bit of a salty kick. I just need about 1 teaspoon of that. And then last of our kind of liquid ingredients, some sesame oil. Now sesame oil is pretty strong. I'm only going to do about 1/2 teaspoon. Because when you have too much, it's very overpowering and it coats the palate. Now I've got some crushed red pepper flakes. And just about a pinch of those, just to give it a little heat. I don't want this too spicy. It's kind of like a sweet spicy sauce. I've also got some garlic here, some minced garlic. We're going to do about 1 teaspoon of the garlic. Some ginger here, about 1/2 teaspoon of the ginger. Minced ginger and minced garlic. And some brown sugar. And the bread, I keep the bread in here because it keeps the brown sugar moist, but I can also use it as a nifty little scoop. So I need about a couple tablespoons of the brown sugar. And last but not least, our star ingredient, peanut butter. That's right, more of my homemade peanut butter. And I need about 1/2 cup of the peanut butter, and then we're just going to let this all cook down. Once it starts to reduce, I'll whisk it all together, and it's going to just be a luscious little blanket for our chicken. Alright guys, I'm stirring up this sauce. It's heated up just a little bit. So I want to kind of incorporate the peanut butter and the brown sugar. And that's starting to smell good too, guys. Oh, amazing. I cannot wait for this. And time to flip our chicken again. Look at those beautiful grill marks. So exciting. There are two things to me that make a dish good: color and sound. So when you see the brown on the food, you know it's going to be delicious. And when you hear that pan sizzling, you know there is good things going on. Guys, alright, that chicken is right where I want it. Between 160 and 165, I'm going to turn it off the heat and set it aside, and it's going to continue to cook. The sauce is ready, it's boiling. I'm going to turn it off, give it another stir. Listen to that chicken. Ah, alright, I'm going to come in here and grab some of this sauce. I'm getting a little fancy here for plating. A nice generous helping of the sauce, and then we're just going to come in and give a little smear. Pretty. And then I'm just going to take my chicken off the skillet, and I'm just going to nestle it into that sauce. Yum, yum, yum. And look at those grill marks. That's going to give us texture. That's going to give us depth of flavor. And then I've got my meal here. I've got some chicken for another time. And I'm just going to grab a fork and I'm going to come right in here, guys. Make sure we get a bunch of our sauce here. And there we have it, chicken satay. Oh, guys. So first, you bite into the chicken. You get the fragrant notes of that lime zest. And the crunch from those grill marks. Then you experience the sauce. And now let me tell you about the sauce. You've got those acidic notes from the ketchup, the vinegar. The sesame oil plays nicely with the peanut butter. It just gives you kind of oomph. And the ginger and the garlic just give you those classic Asian flavors. Absolutely amazing, guys. So I'm going to finish my chicken here, and then I will join you guys in a minute to make a fun peanut butter cocktail, so stay tuned. Alright guys, last but not least, peanut butter in liquid form. This is a peanut butter whiskey. It's by Old Smoky. And I'm going to make some fluffernutter shots. I got my peanut butter whiskey, my glass of ice, and some heavy whipping cream. So first, I'm just going to shake this up a little bit. I don't want it like firm like a whipped cream. I just want it to have a little body to it, some foaminess. That should be pretty good. We're going to start with our whiskey. I'm going to pour just enough in here to cover the bottom of the glass. And it smells great, guys. It has that really like rich flavor. And then we'll take some of our whipping cream here. Just open this guy up. I'm going to pour that right over top until it covers the ice. And look at that. Look at those flavors. I always swirl my cocktails around a little bit to incorporate all the ingredients. So, here we go. Cheers. Oh, nice. So the heavy cream makes it sweet. And then you get that kick in the face from the whiskey. Oh, so good. It's almost like an adult milk. So much fun. So anyways, guys, that was peanut butter. I thank you again for joining me in the kitchen, and until next time.